Vanessa was hired during the pandemic to the dream job that she was looking for. So if you think that it's not possible to land a new job during the pandemic, if you think that it's too hard, if you think that the market is not hiring, well, I have a real example here, and I'm super excited to bring Vanessa to my YouTube channel. I am Juliana and I help professionals to land their dream remote job in 90 days. This is my YouTube channel and I share successful cases like Vanessa and also videos related to career, to remote jobs, to job interviews, to the use of LinkedIn, curriculum, and all things career related. So if you want to know more and check more videos, please click follow the channel because every week I upload a new video. Today, I want to share with you how Vanessa landed her dream job during the pandemic. Vanessa is an excellent professional. She was already in the channel, right, Vanessa? That's not the first time you are here. It's
Yes.
coming back. Yeah, I'm going to add the link to the previous video in the comments of the video. But now Vanessa is here because she's going to share how exactly the step by step, what happened in the backstage of this process of her landing her dream job. So Vanessa, welcome again to the channel.
Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, nice to have you again. Yeah, and today is an amazing topic. So, how you landed your dream job. And I want to start from the beginning. So, if you could please introduce yourself, tell a little bit in which area do you work and why did you decide to hire me? That was end of last year, right? October, I think, last year. Why did you decide to hire me as your career coach?
Well, so I'm a lawyer. I've worked with corporate law for my whole life. And I worked for many years in Brazil in a company in the same market, in the construction market. I worked for more than 10 years in this market. Then I decided to quit my job, and then I started working on my own. Then I moved here to Barcelona, 2019, and I was a little bit lost. I didn't know what to do, so I went to study an MBA, which is completely different and out of my comfort zone. So I started an MBA in Spanish, and it was really nice. It was really good. Meanwhile, I was studying. I decided to do something that I had never done before. So I started working in the real estate market as a real estate agent. And when I finished my MBA, it was October last year, October. It was when I decided to hire you, to help me to find a new job or to, I don't know, reorient my life to define better my goals. Actually, I first hired you to review my LinkedIn and my CV.
Yes.
Remember? That was the first idea I wrote. Because I didn't know what to do. I had received so many informations, started write your curriculum in Canva, or I don't know. You remember? It was a disaster.
Yes.
You asked me, do you want me to help you to rewrite, or do you want me to help to write? I said, please do it yourself because I can't look at this CV anymore.
Yeah.
I was tired of looking for a job and not receiving any answers. And I was also tired to work as a real estate agent and wanted to go back to my old profession as a lawyer. Even though I had not studied anything related to law here in Spain, but I was already authorized to work here because I am Portuguese and I have this facility to work here.
Yeah, I remember when you came, you thought or you said that the problem was in the curriculum and the LinkedIn. And then when we start talking more about it, it is, well, maybe there is something more out there. Maybe we can, face the job search in different ways. And that's a very common thing that happened to the clients. They think that it's only about the curriculum or only about the LinkedIn, and they don't see everything else that can be done in this process. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I'm curious to know, how did you find the job that you landed now? So how did you find it months ago? I think it was in December, right? When you found this job.
Yes, it
Where
was
did you
in
find
December.
it?
I found it on LinkedIn. I was doing my daily job search on LinkedIn, and I found this job. The description matched exactly what I was looking for. When we first started our career coaching, you asked me to write my objectives, no, my goals. It was GROW, right? The name of the technique.
Yes.
It was really nice.
Yes.
And I remember that they, in the job description and in the web page of the company, they used exactly the same words that I used to describe what I wanted to do with my life. So it was really cool.
I always say, be careful with what you wish for, because when you put on a paper, when you get clarity about it, then you might end up having exactly that. So you find your dream job, exactly what we have wrote on the first session that you're looking for. So what did you do after that? Which were the steps that you followed once you found the job?
I followed your book. I mean, everything you said, I was checking the list. So first of all, I studied the company. I studied people who worked there. I stalked them on LinkedIn in a good sense, in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Right? It's a free information. You can find it there. It's there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I studied and I learned a lot because as we talked before, I was sensing, I was feeling that it was really hard to break some barriers here in Spain, because since I have not studied here, I don't speak Catalan, and I'm foreign, no. So I was seeing that there was a lot of law firms and companies that they had, the whole staff was made of local people who had studied in the same university, and I thought it's going to be impossible for me to get into this company because they have this pattern of this standard. And this company, it was completely different. They had a lot of foreign people working there, international people, international clients.
And you only knew that by searching deeply about the company on LinkedIn, talking to people, doing your homework.
Yes,
before applying for the job. Yes.
So it made me like even more the company. So I was really interested in this opportunity, because the more I searched, the more I liked. So that was the first step. Then I reviewed my curriculum to make it match with the job description, and I wrote a what's the name?
Cover letter.
Presentation, the cover letter.
Yeah.
Yes. I adapted the cover letter to match their needs too, of course, based on my previous experience. Then I sent it through LinkedIn. Then I sent a message to the person who had published this opportunity.
Wow, I love it. Everything that we spoke about.
everything. And then I think I sent her an email too. And well, I did everything. She must have gotten tired of me, because I was like...
Well, apparently not. She ended up hiding you. So I think she liked it. Nice.
True.
Nice. Yeah. I like to see how you went out of your comfort zone, because I remember at the beginning of the sessions, you were very hesitant about doing all those things. This was not something you're doing often, and you were not confident enough because it was a new area, new country, and all of that. So you also had to work a lot on your mindset, right? Yeah. To overcome those fears and go further and further in the process. Really nice.
Yes, because I think when we move to a different country, we start to question lots of things, and questioning ourselves is part of the process. So I think that before starting the process, I was, I don't know, with my self-confidence a little bit down. And when I started looking for a job, I used to read the descriptions, and I said, can I do that? Can I really do it? It was,
you start doubting yourself, right?
Start doubting it, and it's so sometimes things can be so simple. In this case, for example, now that I'm there, that I'm working with my daily tasks, everything is things that I have done thousands of times. Of course, in another country, in another language, but it's the same. It's pretty much the same, and things are easy. It's not complicated, and I feel totally comfortable. I'm already participating in meetings in Catalan, and I'm feeling okay with that.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Sometimes we stop ourselves in the process because we're not confident enough, our self-esteem is low. And I see also that happening a lot with people who want to land their first remote job. So in your
Mm.
case, the big change was moving to another country and understand how the new country works. But for people who want to land a remote job, it's the same thing. They don't know how the remote work environment works. So they feel they're not ready for it, they are not qualified enough, they start doubting themselves. So the same doubts and the same hesitation that you faced, I have other clients facing the same thing. But with time, you see that you are able to do the job as you're doing now and enjoying and receiving already good feedback from the management, right? As you're
Yeah,
telling me before.
yes. And there is something else that I have just remembered that you said during our coaching sessions that really helped me too. It was not only researching the market, but also talking to people. So I made a list of every Brazilian lawyer that I could find here in Barcelona, and I called them. And I started calling and
All of them.
talking to them, all of them, and to see how they got to where they were, right? And I had like this scenario. I saw that either they were working on their own law firms, or they had started in a different area of the company and then moved to the legal area. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's possible. It's possible. I can do that. If someone has already done that, it means I can do it.
Exactly. You don't need to create from scratch the strategy. If there are other people who were successful doing that, use your networking, talk to them and understand their journey. And I remember when you mentioned that a lot of people were really open to help you, to share their experience. I remember in the sessions, they were like, yeah, let's talk. Let's have a Zoom coffee, Zoom meeting, and they were open to share. So again, the power of networking and meet people that are open to just help us to share their experience, and it will make our life easier, and it increased your confidence that, okay, if they have done, I can do that also. So yeah, amazing, amazing. But I know also that not everything was happy and nice during the recruitment process of this job that you landed now, because at some point they chose another person for the job, right? Before they decide to hire you, they chose another person. And I'm wondering, how was it for you at that time when they said, oh, thank you very much for all the interviews, all the tests that you have done, but we chose another person? So how did you feel at that time? Like in a real way, how was it?
Of course, I wasn't happy. Yeah, I was not happy, but I said, okay, maybe it's not the time. Actually, I had my mind so full because I was in the middle of, I was moving. So I was moving from one apartment to the other. So I had a lot of things to do. And I was also working. I was working as a real estate agent. And at this time, I also was working with contracts, and I was trying to really start working as a lawyer. And I was studying a lot. So I think the secret was keeping my mind busy, doing things, doing stuff, not giving up, not giving up. It was important. And I also answered when they asked, they said that they had hired someone else. I said, okay, so whenever you have another opportunity, please know that I'm here. Don't forget about me.
I love that. Yes, you were very busy with other things, and like life keeps going. I know that it's hard. I know that you told me before, you cried some days, several days. And I mean, we are human. It's normal. Like, it was your dream job. It seemed to be at that time. Maybe it was not because they didn't choose you, but you were like, you're very happy to have the job. And then suddenly they say no. So it's normal to feel low, to feel sad, to cry. But life keeps going. You were studying, you were working, you're moving from another house. So life doesn't stop when we receive a no, although it hurts, I know in the recruitment process, but life keeps going. And I like very much what you did. You left the door open to them. So you said, okay, I'm sorry that I was not chosen, but I'm still interested. I'm still available. And then what happened? What was it? 1 month later, right?
Yes,
less than a month,
1 month
later, they contact you again. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they sent me an email stating that, I don't know, the person who they had hired did not work out well. They decided to start the process again, and they asked if I was interested. And it was really nice. Yeah, it was really good because it was the perfect timing, actually, because if it had happened before in February, I would have to deal with so many things together that maybe I don't know, it would be,
you wouldn't be in your best version. But then you were ready to keep moving in the process.
It was
Amazing.
perfect. It was
Yeah.
I was able to get a vacation, to travel with my husband, to celebrate our like a wedding and anniversary. It was perfect. Everything happened when it had to happen.
Amazing, amazing. And then I remember you mentioned that when she contacted you again, she was the CEO of the law office, right? So the CEO contact you again, said they want you to start again the process, restart the process. And then there was another interview. And I remember you said you left the interview not feeling really confident about one specific question they asked you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That normal feeling like, maybe I think I didn't do things right. I'm not sure they're going to like me because of that specific answer. So what did you do after that, after the interview finished and you left like, maybe I didn't do things right about that specific question? What happened?
Yes, it was an online interview, and she was telling me why they were starting the process again. And so she started giving examples of real situations they had to face. This person who they would hire had to face when this person started to say, what would you do in this situation? And that. Lots of questions. It was like a 2-hour interview, and then I was already
very long.
It was long, and I was starting to feel tired. So I don't know when you can think anymore. So I was already okay. There was one question that I said, I could have done more, I could have said more. I know better. So I said, it was like, I think it was Friday or Thursday. I don't know, Tuesday. And then what I did was I bought lots of books during the weekend. I bought like many books, and I studied the whole weekend the specific situation that she asked, and I made a presentation. I opened a PowerPoint, I put the logo of the company, and I wrote the problem, the situation, all the risks they were facing due to that situation, what we could do to face the situation, a timeline when we could finish.
A business case, a proper business case presentation.
Totally. Yeah, it wasn't simple stuff, but I said, okay, let me use this. Since it's simple, let me use this idea to show what I can do, what I am. Because, of course, maybe I won't have the answers at the time, but it's normal. No, daily life is like that. Sometimes when someone asks you something, you don't have the answer exactly on that moment, but then you go take a shower and it comes. No? So that's what I said. When it comes, I will show you how it's gonna be. It's gonna come like this. So this is who I am. Then she had asked me to go to the office on the other week, Monday, I don't remember exactly the day, to meet the whole team and to have another interview with the board of directors. I said, okay, I'll be there. And then I took this presentation, I printed it, and I took it, 5 copies. And then when I arrived, I distributed it, one to each person. And
let me just pause here. She invited you to go to the office to meet the team, but she didn't ask you to do the presentation, right?
No,
that's what I want to make
no.
clear. You decided to do the presentation because you were not happy with your performance in the interview, and you decided to go one step ahead. So you came up with this idea of the presentation, the business case. She had no idea about it.
No.
Right? That was totally something that you
She was totally surprised. She was like, oh my God, what is this? Who is this crazy person bringing me? What's she trying to sell me? What's that? Yeah,
you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself.
Exactly.
And it worked, right? Yeah. So you ended up doing this presentation that nobody asked for, to cover that aspect of the interview that you thought you didn't, explain yourself well enough in the interview. So it was a presentation for 8 people, you said, right? Completely unplanned.
Yes.
And you ended up presenting the business case, the presentation. You spent your whole week in a volunteer way doing that, and you were presenting for the whole team. How was their reaction?
Well, they were all surprised. It was really funny. They said, what is this? And then they were happy, especially, there was one person of the team who was really worried about the team, and he was happy to see that someone was going to help him to solve this problem, and it was really nice. They were happy. Then they
Yes.
made a lot of questions. They asked me many things. It was like another 1 hour interview. It was nice.
So
But
instead of just going to the office to meet the team as they have invited, you took ownership of the situation. You surprised them in a positive way. You presented solutions because one person of the team was like, wow, that's amazing. This is exactly the kind of person I need in my team to help me. So now they really wanted you there because they saw you in action. They saw like, okay, if you hire me, this is what I can do for you. So it's amazing. And I remember we spoke about it in the sessions, like how can you differentiate from others? How can you go a bit further? How can you do what other candidates probably won't do? I doubt they had someone before doing something like that. That's why they were so
yeah,
surprised, right?
yeah,
Probably
I don't
not.
think so.
Yeah, I
Probably
don't
not.
think so either, because it takes a lot of time. You were
Yeah,
reading books, you spend your whole weekend creating the presentation that nobody asked for. But hey, it was like an amazing positive impact that you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
caused. Wow
I think
factor,
so.
like a surprise factor for them.
Yes, yes. It's
Nice.
not everyone who arrives with a presentation with the logo of your
No,
own company. Like, what is this?
exactly. Exactly. Very few people. So people normally do what everybody else does, like applying for jobs, maybe connecting on LinkedIn, do an interview, and then you leave the interview. If you're not happy about your performance, you just stay at home and you feel miserable. Oh my goodness, I should have said that in a different way and blah, blah. That's it. But no, you took this, I did an answer as good as I could. What am I going to do with that? So you use that energy, that feeling to create something, and you took the next opportunity, the meeting with the whole team, not only with one person, like the whole team, and you presented that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And then the yes came a few days later, right?
Yes, a few days. It was really nice. I thought it was really thoughtful of them. Then after the interview, the CEO called me to see if I was happy, if I had liked them, if I had not. It was really nice. I felt really
They
nice
were
with.
very careful with your experience, with you, how you were feeling, if you're enjoying all the time. That's not all the companies do that. Unfortunately, I talked to a lot of candidates, so some companies don't really value your time and all of that, but they were taking care of, they were concerned about you, like, are you happy? Did you enjoy it? So
Yes,
that was very, very nice.
it was
Yeah.
really nice. It was really cool.
Yeah. Amazing. And today you're completing 1 month in the new job,
Yes,
right?
today I'm
Yes.
completing 1 month. It was really nice. This taking the ownership of our career, it's really important because that's when you start seeing things differently. You see that you can do what you want, you can, but you have to plan. And first of all, you have to
Yes.
know what you want. You have to plan.
Yes.
It's really
Yes.
important, and things actually happen because once you know what you want, it's halfway through.
Be careful with what you wish for, because then you get exactly that, right? Yeah. I remember we spoke at the beginning of the sessions about your goals, short term, long terms, what you want to create for your career and all of that. And I remember at that time you were still in your previous job, and you mentioned you want to do something. One of the tasks that you were doing, you wanted to do it more. So you also took ownership since the beginning of the process, right, with the job you had at the moment, and you create a whole circumstance to do more of what you wanted to do in the job,
Exactly.
right?
It's
So
trying to find opportunities. No, see, so I was working as a real estate agent, and I saw that the contracts the company was using, they were not easy to use, and none of the agents could could perform it well. So I presented an idea for the director to change the
again, another
system.
presentation, another weekend dedicated to it.
Presentation girl.
Nobody asked for, and again, you put the time and the effort. Yeah, again.
Yeah, totally. But
Yes,
in this
same
case,
thing.
it was interesting because it didn't work exactly as I planned because I was offering them to rewrite all of the contracts, like
The
the
contracts.
models, no,
Yeah.
the standard contracts that we have in our system, and they said, okay, we are going to think about it, okay. But I started telling people, the other agents, that I was a lawyer and that I wanted to work as a lawyer, and I understood the law. If you don't know anything, you can count on me. I'm gonna help you. And I wasn't charging for that. So
Yeah.
whenever I was at the company. for anything. If I was there for, I don't know, sign a contract with a client or to get a key, anything, I used to say hi to everyone to ask if everyone was right and if I could help with something, like giving them a hand. And they started asking me things, and they felt confident that I could help them. So they started calling me all the time to help them. And then it was last year, and they started like creating this, I don't know, this idea that I was a good lawyer and I could help them. And then in January, the agent with like the top agent of the company, she sent me a message and said, "Hey Vanessa, how much would you charge me to write all of my contracts?"
Wow.
All of your contracts. Yes. Okay. So I said, at the time I thought, okay, what do I want? That's why it's important to know what you want and to have a strategy.
Back to your goals, back to your career plans, what you want to do. Yes.
I thought, what do I want? I want to have experience here as a lawyer. I want to say that I am a lawyer. I want to send her invoices as a lawyer, so I can prove that I have worked with that. So I'm gonna send her a price that is ridiculous. I'm gonna charge almost nothing, so she can sell me to other agents, and I can make it grow. So after a week, the other agent, with another top agent, she called me asking me to do the same, and the next week the other one. So I was like with 6 agents before.
Wow.
Yes, it was really nice.
That's
it was almost
amazing. Yes. So you had clarity of what you wanted, and you were going back to that when the situations happen. Okay, let me go back to my goals, to my plan, to see if it is aligned. And I like that you were thinking also like short term, but also long term. So is this going to help me to work as a lawyer? Can I send an invoice as a lawyer? Am I going to build up my portfolio, my credibility? And that's exactly what you did. So you're making choices, yes or no, based on what I define that I want for my career, and being aligned to it. That's amazing. And you ended up doing more of the things you liked. So you created that inside the job. Nobody asked you to do that at the very beginning. This was not what you signed up for. It was not in your initial job description. But a lot of times we are like, yeah, I'm in a job that I don't really like. There is nothing I can do. Well, this is an example that you can do things to create more of what you want to do, even if you are in a job that is not your dream job yet. And at the same time, you work on, landing your dream job. So that's amazing, Vanessa. I really like that. Yeah. Congratulations. So happy for you.
Thank you, Ju. Thank you. I'm happy to.
Yeah. Enjoy this new stage. Thank you very much for sharing everything that you shared. There's so much value in this video. So if you are watching, if you are searching for a new job, if you are in a career change process, you can rewatch this video as many times as possible, pause, and just write down everything that you follow, everything that we covered in the session, and much more. So thank you for sharing so much. That was very helpful, and enjoy this new journey as a lawyer in Spain now. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ju. Thank you, everyone.